While the market has high hopes that the corporate tax rate will be lowered, it is a different story for some real estate developers. Just the idea of a tax cut is rattling the low-income housing market. Aditi Roy explains why from East Palo Alto, California.
This low-income housing project in San Jose, California just broke ground, but it almost didn't happen. Developer Jeffrey Morgan says it took years for him to line up the investors, partners, and builders for the 2nd Street Studios, a housing development for the homeless, where residents of the 134 units would pay 30% of their income towards rent. A typical one-bedroom apartment in San Jose goes for about $2,000. Then came Election Day.
In a nutshell, we got trumped.
By that, he means President Trump's election victory rattled the low-income housing market. That's because once Donald Trump won the election, a cut in the corporate tax rate became more likely. If that happens, investors won't get as much financial benefit from buying low-income housing tax credits. So housing developers are saying some investors are getting cold feet, including the one behind the 2nd Street Studios.
We were literally driving to the title office after signing documents with the city of San Jose, and when we were ready to go, they backed off. And our lenders committed anyway, and we wound up meeting with the investors later on, but it was a really scary time.
Eventually, the investors stayed in the project, but renegotiated the financing, leaving Morgan with a $2.5 million funding gap. The city of San Jose stepped in and paid the shortfall, saving the project. Morgan isn't alone. Experts say shovel-ready low-income housing projects across the country are in jeopardy of losing funding because of uncertainty in the affordable housing tax credit market. Public accounting and consulting firm Novogradac estimates the low-income housing tax credit market could lose 10 to 15% of its value. The problem could be especially acute in California, where the housing market is tight. In the Bay Area, skyrocketing rents and low inventory have prompted some companies like Facebook to step in. The social media company launched a $20 million initiative for affordable housing. The good news is most developers say the uncertainty around where the corporate tax rate will end up is just a temporary disruption in the market, one that will likely smooth out once we find out what the corporate tax rate will be under the Trump administration. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Aditi Roy, East Palo Alto, California.